It doesn't look like there will be any random thunderstorms today anyways, although the weather is getting really cold now. And what did I read today? How about this one? What happened in the US? Did DJI officially get banned, as apparently the US Customs are stopping their drones from being imported? So it started with this apparently, where there was a notice sent out to all retail partners, people that were buying the products to resell, with things, for example, like the recent DJI Mavic Air 3S. This one says, "Dear DJI partner, we are reaching out to inform you about a customs-related issue that is currently limiting DJI's ability to import select drones into the United States." They do say too, as far as we know, the issue does not appear to be linked to the pending legislation against DJI in the US Congress, such as the Countering CCP Drones Act. Instead, US Customs and Border Protections has cited the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act as a basis for withholding DJI drones from being imported into the US. And they did release an official statement. You can read here. It says, "Navigating US Customs, demonstrating DJI's commitment to ethical production and labor practices." It says, "A customs-related misunderstanding is currently affecting DJI's ability to import select drones into the United States. This appears to be a broader initiative by the Department of Homeland Security to scrutinize the origins of products, particularly in the case of Chinese-made drones. We want to take this opportunity to provide clarity on the issue and outline the steps we are taking to resolve it." And they re-emphasize again, it's not related to things like the Countering CCP Drones Act and all that. It says the US Customs and Border Protection has cited the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act as a reason for the current holdups. The assertion made against DJI, however, is entirely unfounded and categorically false. There is no reason for CBP to be detaining DJI's drones. The UFLPA requires CBP to presume that all goods made wholly or in part in Xinjiang and or by certain listed entities were made using forced labor and therefore are inadmissible into the United States. U.S. law allows the CBP to withhold goods even in the absence of tangible evidence. In contrast, DJI possesses substantial evidence proving its compliance. DJI has no manufacturing facilities in Xinjiang, nor do we source materials from the region. All of our manufacturing is based in Shenzhen, where our company is headquartered, or Malaysia. It's kind of interesting how they mentioned Malaysia actually, because that's where the other knockoff brand, to my understanding, has all their manufacturing from as well. And of course, the theory is this is basically DJI trying to circumvent any potential US bans and all that. It goes on to say merchandise imported by entities identified on the UFLPA entities list are subject to the UFLPA's restrictions. DJI is not a listed entity under the UFLPA. DJI complies with US law and international labor and manufacturing standards. And so what are they ultimately doing? As they say, they're trying to provide all the necessary information and documents and all that. And I guess they remain confident that all their retail partners and all that will get their drones to sell. Kind of an interesting twist overall, huh? Is that a foreshadowing that their products may potentially just get plain banned in the US too? Who knows? But does that make you worry if you're someone who just recently bought or pre-ordered, for example, the Air 3S? Who knows what's going to happen, huh? But in terms of, I guess, banning drone manufacturers and all that, it seemed to be a theme. How about this one? This one says, US imposes sanctions on Chinese companies accused of helping make Russian attack drones. In the first time, the US has imposed penalties on Chinese makers of drones, engines, and parts for developing and producing complete weapon systems in collaboration with Russian companies, the department said. The US has previously accused China of providing material support to Russia's military-industrial base to sustain Kremlin's war against Ukraine, and the latest round of sanctions seeks to target the direct activity between Beijing and Moscow, according to senior Biden administration officials who discussed the sanctions on the conditions of anonymity before the measures were announced. And with that, of course, China denies it. Apparently, it says the Chinese embassy in Washington called the US accusations false. It said China's trade with Russia is, quote, open and above board and in line with World Trade Organization rules and market principles. China always handles the export of military products in a prudent and responsible way and strictly controls the export of dual-use articles, including drones for civilian use, said Liu Pengyu, the embassy's spokesman. And who are the companies that they are sanctioning? It says the US is imposing sanctions on Xiamen Zlimbach Aircraft Engine Co., which produces drone engines for the Garpia series, and Red Lapis Vector Industry, which has worked with a Russian company already facing sanctions to facilitate the shipment of the drones to Russia. So it looks like, again, that's the consistent theme in terms of the US sanctioning, or I guess blocking Chinese-made drones and manufacturers, I guess. And I guess in terms of stopping things from being importing, this just seems so random. I guess while the rest of the world has issues with like tech and all that, here we have issues with what, turtles? It says here, woman pleads guilty to trying to smuggle 29 turtles across a Vermont lake in Canada by kayak. I'm just thinking, is a turtle really worth it in that sense? It says a woman from China pleaded guilty on Friday to attempting to smuggle 29 eastern box turtles, a protected species, across a Vermont lake into Canada by kayak. Wang Yiyang, 41, was arrested on the morning of June 28th at an Airbnb in Canaan as she was about to get into an inflatable kayak with a duffel bag on Lake Wallace, according to a Border Patrol agent's affidavit filed in federal court. Agents had been notified by Royal Canadian Mounted Police that 2 other people, including a man who is believed to be her husband, had started to paddle an inflatable watercraft from the Canadian side of the lake toward the United States, according to court documents. The agents searched her heavy duffel bag and found 29 live eastern box turtles individually wrapped in socks, the affidavit states. Eastern box turtles are known to be sold on the Chinese black market for $1,000 each, the affidavit said. $1,000 each? What in the world are they using it for? And then ultimately it says she could face up to 10 years in prison and a fine of up to $250,000. I guess for these people, turtles are more profitable, I guess, than drones in that sense, huh? But what's with that theme today in terms of people trying to import and export stuff and all that? All right, see you guys later.